breaking generational curses from survival to softness. Welcome, everyone. Today, I want to take you on a journey, a sacred journey from constantly grinding to finally grounding, a journey that many of us have been afraid to embark upon because society has taught us that our worth is measured by our productivity, our strength by our silence, and our value by our ability to endure. I recently had the profound honor of speaking with Kandaka Manuel, a visionary healer, a truth teller, and quite frankly, a revolutionary force in the field of narcissistic abuse recovery. Kandaka isn't just a practitioner, she's a lighthouse for those lost in the dark seas of manipulation and self doubt. Her work has transformed thousands of lives, particularly within Black communities where mental health conversations have historically been taboo. Through her compassionate approach and unflinching honesty, she's creating ripples of healing that'll be felt for generations to come. Have you ever felt like you're drowning while everyone around you thinks you're walking on water? That's what surviving narcissistic abuse feels like, a silent struggle where your reality is constantly questioned, your worth repeatedly diminished, and your boundaries persistently violated. The loneliest kind of pain is the kind that wears a smile in public while weeping in private. But here's the truth that Kandaka so powerfully articulates: healing isn't just possible, it's your birthright. And the journey from survival to softness, from trauma to transformation, begins with one radical act: believing yourself. When I spoke with Kandaka, her wisdom resonated deeply with what so many of us need to hear. She emphasized that for high achieving Black women, especially, the path to healing requires dropping the superwoman cape we've worn for far too long. That cape, by the way, was never designed for flight. It was designed to keep us tethered to expectations that were never meant to serve us. The strongest thing you'll ever do, Kandaka shared, is admit when you're not okay. Let's pause on that for a moment. Let it sink in. For many of us, strength has been defined by how much we can endure, how many burdens we can carry, how long we can ignore our own needs while meeting everyone else's. We've been taught that vulnerability is weakness, that asking for help is failure, that tears are a luxury we cannot afford. But what if true strength looks completely different? What if it looks like saying no when your soul needs rest? What if it looks like walking away from relationships that diminish you? What if it looks like admitting that you're hurting and that you need support? In our conversation, Kandaka highlighted three essential pillars for healing after narcissistic abuse. First, self compassion and patience are non negotiable for healing. This isn't a race with a finish line, it's a journey that unfolds in its own divine timing. The same voice that has been criticizing you for years cannot be the voice that leads you to healing. You need a new voice, a gentle one that speaks to you with the tenderness you've always deserved. Second, surrounding yourself with supportive, positive relationships becomes your lifeline. As Kandaka puts it, sometimes family isn't who you're born to, it's who you choose. Those words hit me like a thunderbolt because they challenge everything we've been taught about obligation and loyalty. But here's the uncomfortable truth: love should never cost you your peace. Connection should never require your diminishment. And family, true family, should be a sanctuary, not a battlefield. And third, celebrating small victories and setting healthy boundaries becomes your daily practice. Because reclaiming your life happens one moment, one decision, one boundary at a time. Some days, simply getting out of bed is a victory. Other days, speaking your truth when silence would be easier. That's a triumph worth celebrating. Let me share with you a powerful story that Kandaka discussed during our conversation. A Black woman entrepreneur had endured years of narcissistic abuse from a parent. The constant emotional manipulation left her doubting her every decision. Her achievements were minimized, her failures magnified. Family gatherings became battlegrounds where her worth was questioned and her voice silenced. Sound familiar to anyone? The turning point came when she recognized that what she was experiencing wasn't normal family dynamics, it was abuse. That recognition, though painful, was the first ray of light breaking through decades of darkness. She made the difficult decision to create distance from toxic family relationships. She sought therapy, specifically with a culturally competent therapist who understood the complex dynamics of Black family systems and the additional layer of keeping family business private that often prevents Black women from seeking help. With professional support, she began practicing radical self compassion. She learned to speak to herself with the gentleness she'd always offered others but denied herself. She gradually built a network of supportive friends and mentors who reflected back her true worth. The transformation wasn't overnight, but it was profound. Her confidence grew, her business flourished, and perhaps most importantly, she became an advocate for others walking similar paths. Today, she speaks at national conferences on narcissistic abuse recovery, helping other Black women entrepreneurs recognize the signs and find their way to healing. Her journey from victim to victor, from surviving to thriving, embodies what Kandaka calls moving from generational curses to generational blessings. But healing from narcissistic abuse isn't limited to family dynamics. Kandaka shared another powerful story about workplace abuse. A Black male executive found himself under the thumb of a narcissistic manager who used gaslighting, constant criticism, and professional sabotage as control tactics. His ideas were stolen, his accomplishments attributed to others, and his mistakes magnified for public consumption. Despite his qualifications and experience, he began questioning his competence, his judgment, even his sanity. The stress manifested physically: insomnia, weight loss, anxiety attacks before meetings. His breakthrough came when a colleague who had left the company reached out and named what was happening: workplace narcissistic abuse. Having someone validate his experience gave him permission to trust his own perceptions again. He made the courageous decision to leave that toxic environment, even without another position lined up. He engaged in therapy to rebuild his professional confidence and joined a professional network specifically for Black leaders. Within this supportive community, he found mentorship and opportunities that aligned with his values and skills. He eventually secured a higher level position at an organization with healthy leadership practices. Today, he mentors other professionals facing workplace abuse and has helped destigmatize conversations about mental health in corporate spaces, particularly for Black men who face unique pressures to appear unaffected by mistreatment. His story illustrates what Kandaka emphasized in our conversation. Sometimes healing requires walking away from situations that continuously wound you, even when those situations come with prestige or financial security. Sometimes the most ambitious career move you can make is choosing your well being over your paycheck. The third story Kandaka shared touched on intimate partner relationships, another sphere where narcissistic abuse can flourish. A Black woman found herself in a relationship that slowly eroded her sense of self. What began as charming attention evolved into controlling behavior. Her partner isolated her from friends and family, criticized her appearance and decisions, and manipulated her emotions through alternating praise and punishment. She minimized her experiences, telling herself relationships are hard, or at least he doesn't hit me. Cultural messages about standing by your man and being a ride or die partner further complicated her ability to name her experience as abuse. The wake up call came when she confided in a friend who gently helped her see the pattern of abuse. With this new perspective, she began establishing boundaries, sought counseling, and eventually found the strength to leave the relationship. Her healing journey led her to volunteer at a local support group where she discovered her gift for helping others articulate their experiences. She went on to lead workshops on healing after abuse and launched a citywide initiative focused on Black women's mental health. She published a guide on boundary setting that has become a resource in her community, creating what Kandaka beautifully describes as a ripple effect of empowerment and healing. These stories illuminate the truth that Kandaka Emmanuel so powerfully advocates. Healing from narcissistic abuse isn't just about surviving, it's about reclaiming your right to thrive. As Kandaka reminds us, your healing isn't selfish, it's sacred. For high achieving individuals, especially Black women, this message resonates deeply. We've been conditioned to prioritize everyone else's needs, to push through pain, to wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But what if our true power lies not in how much we can endure, but in how authentically we can exist? What if softness isn't weakness, but wisdom? What if boundaries aren't selfish, but sacred? What if rest isn't a luxury, but a necessity? Kandaka's insights remind us that the journey from survival to softness requires three essential practices. First, we must learn to trust ourselves again. Narcissistic abuse systematically dismantles our ability to trust our own perceptions and feelings. Rebuilding that trust means validating our experiences, honoring our emotions, and believing our own truth, even when others question it. Second, we must surround ourselves with people who reflect our worth back to us. As Kandaka wisely notes, sometimes healing requires creating distance from those who consistently wound us, even when those people share our blood or last name. And third, we must practice celebrating small victories. Healing isn't linear. Some days, simply getting out of bed is an achievement. Other days, setting a boundary or speaking your truth deserves celebration. As Kandaka puts it, honor every step of your journey, no matter how small it seems. So, what does all of this mean for you sitting here today? It means that your healing matters. It means that your voice deserves to be heard. It means that your boundaries deserve to be respected. And it means that your journey from survival to softness is not just possible, it's essential. I challenge you today to take one step toward reclaiming your peace. Just one. Maybe that's setting a boundary with someone who consistently drains your energy. Maybe it's reaching out to a therapist who can help you navigate the complex terrain of healing. Maybe it's simply looking in the mirror and saying, I believe you. What happened to you was real and it wasn't your fault. Whatever that step looks like for you, take it knowing that you are not alone. Take it knowing that your healing isn't just for you, it's for everyone who will benefit from the wholeness you're reclaiming. Take it knowing that when you break a generational curse, you create space for generational blessings. As we stand at this crossroads together, remember the wisdom Kandaka Emmanuel shared. The journey from survival to softness isn't easy, but it's worth every step. You are worthy of that journey. You are worthy of that softness. You are worthy of that peace. And most importantly, you are worthy of a life that feels like living, not just surviving. Thank you.